Last year we got knocked out of the Pokal early. We lost in the second round. And of course, it's our second round Pokal match today, and we're playing a 16th place Armenian B-field team, which means we're probably in for it. My name's FM21. This is the Red Devils Rising. Game, if our last few results hadn't been kind of and looking at this, you wouldn't think that, hey, those aren't kind of scores, but really they are. After drawing at Bayer and beating Vitesse, we drew with Hertha 2-2. This was one of those games where they scored 2 goals early, and I thought we really had a chance to come back in the second half. And we didn't. We had 15 shots, 10 on target. We were technically better than them pretty much the whole entire game. They had 21-9. The possession was pretty much negligible, and my defense decided to play like crud. I mean, 6'9", 6'6", 6'4", 6'6", 6'6". Decker again with a 7-1. I mean, the only two bright spots were Pokal'D and Graka. They're both having really good seasons, and they're both wanted by bigger clubs now. It's possible I could lose one or both of them in the January transfer window. I'm not really looking forward to that. Not in January anyways. If they left in the summertime, I'd be okay with that. I have Steensig. I got a couple other guys who could play up top as well. Arjau is kind of a step down, but he'd be capable at least for a season, or I could go out and bring in one of the youngsters I've got my eyes on, or a veteran like Borja Mayoral or something like that. But yeah, we played Borussia Dortmund, and we got absolutely FM'd. They got a 94th minute goal to claw the victory back. I usually say claw the draw, but this was a game, it was kind of the opposite of last game. This game, they were more technical and we weren't. This game, we did just enough to hold on. They scored too early, we scored too late, and then Kambarov got an extra time FM goal because why not? So this really should have been a draw. As well as we performed, considering how well we didn't perform the previous game, this should have been a draw. And against Zagłębie in the first time we played them, we did relatively well. We had 20 shots, 10 on target to their 9-3. We kept them pinned back to their half the field most of the game. They played this really compact 4-4-1-1. I stayed a little bit more narrower than I usually do, and I had both my wingbacks going out wide and the advanced midfielders cutting inside, so it put a lot of pressure on these midfield on the midfield players here. And it really opened up some stuff in the middle, which was kind of surprising to see, to be honest with you. I watched this game on extended highlights. What would happen was Pokal'D and Graka would both drive forward, and their back four would be kind of up in the air as to who to defend, because Held and Zivkak would break towards the inside as well, and it caused some confusion as to who was supposed to be covering who. As a result, Magahalis and Ranieri had the opportunity to run pretty wild down the left. As you can see, Magahalis had 1 assist, 1 clear-cut chance, 6 key passes. Ranieri, it's not showing it, but he had some really good passes as well. But the most of my attackers had a solid game. Zagłębie, totally mangling that name, and I apologize for it. KGHM had a solid game. They just couldn't break through our defense. And then against Stuttgart, which happened 3 days after the KGHM game, I broke out the 5-2-3 Swiss Bolt. It's a formation that I've had in the back pocket for a while. I break it out from time to time, especially when I know I have tired wingbacks. I'm not really deep there. Well, let me rephrase that. I have a lot of people that can play wingback and fullback, but after the first 1 or 2, it gets really thin, really quick. And this formation, I really like. It's kind of fun. I wouldn't play it full time because there's just a lot of defensive weaknesses with it, especially when you're going up against a really good team and you don't have quality players. If I was 5 or 6 years into the save, and I had, and like as an example, all my 5-star potential players were 5-star players, I would be playing this formation a lot more. It's very wide open. It's very pass intensive. It's very quick attacking. You can really run up a lot of goals in this formation. You can also give up a lot of goals in this formation too. But if you're willing to accept that, it's fun to play. We beat Stuttgart 3-1. It was interesting because they played a real similar formation. They played a 5-2-1-2, where we played a 5-2-3 with the wingbacks wide. It looks more like a kind of a lopsided 4-4-2 when it's kind of pushed up like that. And in some ways, depending on how far you play your wingbacks, it is. The interesting thing is, if you plan it right, and depending on your opponent and what they're playing, you can work this out as well. You pull your wingbacks back to either defend or support, play them a little bit deeper. Your libero comes up and acts almost as a third midfielder. And then you have your 2 attacking midfielders and your 1 striker up top. Depending on what else you're playing as your midfielders, I play ball winning midfielder, box midfielder, but you can but if you switch that out with, say, like a Mazzala or a Carolero, you can really cause some interesting mismatches against the defense. And the interesting thing was they played a real similar formation, so we balanced each other out really well. At the end of the day, it came down to who was going to give up more goals than the other squad, and that was them. They had more shots and more on target. We only had 9 and 4. They had 24 and 9. Their XG was 2, well, 2.2. Our XG was 0.89, yet we got 3 goals. They were a bit late in the game, but that's when they were tired and kind of run down. Decker was really solid between the sticks. De Graca, player of the match game. Musiala got a goal for them early on. And, you know, it's a formation that I would play a bit more often if I had higher quality players to play it more often. But it's something to break out every once in a while just to switch things up and throw a monkey wrench into the other team's plans. So currently, we are in 7th place, 4 wins, 4 draws, 2 losses for 16 points. We're still within striking distance of the top, but we're only a third of the way through the season. Today, what we're going to be doing is we're playing Bielefeld in the Pokal second round. We're going to skip the Wolfsburg match and then come back for the away match at KGHM. I'm just going to call them KGHM because I'm sure I can figure out a way to screw that up, but you know, for the moment, it's KGHM. So what I'm going to do is double check my best 11, set the reserves, and we're going to come back with our match in the Pokal against Arminia Bielefeld in just a bit. And this is the squad we're playing today. We've got Decker in goal, Jesus, Bejker, Carrillo, and Magahalis as the defensive back 4, Hen and Matty as the midfielders, Helden Steensig as the attack midfielders, De Graca and Pellegrini up top as the strikers. We're 3 days, oh, you know what, Bernat's back healthy. We're going to put him back up there, and then we need to bring Swiderski in and bring him off the bench if possible. Pull Drews out. I completely missed that. We're 3 days out from playing Stuttgart. We're 3 days out from playing Wolfsburg on the back end of this, so it's a moderately rotated side. And actually, looking at this, what I need to do is get Carrillo off and bring on Dressel. Now, we are in European football, so if we do get bounced this round, I don't think the board will be that upset. We'll have to see. Again, there's rumors of another takeover going around. It happens almost every season now. I've gotten to the point where it's like, until they're more than rumors, I'm not going to worry about it. Bejker gives the ball away. Koster ends up with it, drives forward, no one in front of him. Holds it up in the box, gets it to Bergensen, back to Koster, Al-Shafi. Anderson top the box, and he absolutely blasts it. What happened there? Oh, his first goal of the season. Imagine that. He's just sitting 3 yards beyond the D. Did it get deflected off of somebody? Looks like it got deflected off of somebody. Domrose to Diallo. Back to Domrose. All the way back to Harrison. He gets it to RMB, up to Anderson, to Galler. Dashner with the ball now. Dispossessed by Dressel. Bernat runs it down. Hen got a head on it somehow. Held ends up with the ball. Gets between the defenders with his speed, takes the shot, curls it wide right. He was doing good until the end there. I told the team to focus, and now they're all bummed out. Subpar performances across the board. Good gracious. Last chance to score before the half. Burnett sends it in, knocked away. Matty dwells on the ball. He almost didn't make it. Jesus sends it all the way back to Decker anyways. Back to Jesus, who gives the ball away to Diallo. Anderson steps in front of Matty. Gets the ball to Gawler, takes the shot, but he skies his effort. What a poor, poor game. They've had 6 shots, 2 on target. We've had 3 and none. Gawler on the corner kick for Beafield. Oh, Jesus blocked it at the post. RMB runs it down on the highlight ends. Diallo sends in the free kick. Decker, a nice stop. Rolls it out to Held. Pass up into space for Pellegrini. Takes the shot. Harrison, a nice save. Burnett drops it off short to Held. Back to Burnett. He sends it in. It's knocked away. Gawler's going to get there because my defenders don't want to cross the midfield line. Gawler bounces his pass off of, who's my 18? That is Jesus. Is it not? Yeah. Decker stops that in the air. Good grief. 63 minutes in, we're playing like crud. We're going to get Swiderski on for Matty. Dressel's going to come off, and Carrillo's going to come on. We're going to get Held off and bring on Dustin Bloom, too. 3 subs at 60 minutes. It's got to shake it up somehow. Breskin. Okay, that was an interesting 2D animation. Looks like Decker jumped up and swiped it out of the air. Pellegrini knocks it down. Maga Hollis picks it up. Drops it off to Burnett. He cuts between the defenders. Passes it up for Hen, who can't get a foot on it. Goes out for the Kaisersalutern corner kick. Burnett crosses it in. Beschker's there. Can't get a head on it, but he's going to run it down. Stops it from going out of bounds. Gives the ball to Anderson, and that's the highlight. Fraga on the throw and gives it away to Maga Hollis. He gets it up to Graka, who one-taps over to Pellegrini. Got by the defenders. Harrison comes out, stands tall, blocks it. Domros sends it up. Goes out of bounds. That's the highlight. Fraga with the throw-in. Breskin almost dispossessed by Jesus, but recovers. Dashner. On flippin' reel. And we're out in the second round again. I mean, unless a minor miracle occurs, which I don't think we're going to get, because De Graaf is not going to get there. Bloom with a shot. Oh, we get a goal. 92 minutes into a 92-minute game. The FM gods are cruel. And they have a sense of humor. It was a nice shot by Bloom, though. Well struck. Now we're out in the second round of the Pokal again. Good grief. Well, we are going to play Wolfsburg offline. And we're going to come back for KGHM. I also have to set up my training. First, we're going to save this. And then I'm going to go grab a drink. We're going to come back and play the Wolfsburg game offline, set my training and whatnot. We'll be back with our next match in just a bit. So I started a moderately rotated side against Wolfsburg just to try and save some players. Because they were lower on the table, I thought we'd have a chance of at least holding to a draw. Instead, they got an 88th minute goal after we equalized in the 85th minute to get the 2-1 victory. But frankly, it could have been a lot more. Their attackers were just a whole heck of a lot better than our defenders. Had a lot of guys have subpar games. Arjau. I started Arjau and Steensig up top to save Pellegrini and De Graaf, and they rewarded me with a 6-3 and a 6-4 respectively. only highlighted by the fact that I also had 4 players get yellow cards. We didn't deserve to win this game. And, we didn't. Oh, it's all the players I had scouted coming in. So today, we're starting Decker in goal. Wiesner, Bejger, Carrillo, and Magahalis as the defensive back 4. Matty and Swiderski as the attack. Matty and Swiderski as the midfielders. Held and Zivkak as the attacking midfielders. DeGraka and Pellegrini up top as the strikers. I gotta remember, Zivkak likes playing winger. We need to move Burnett up. I suspect he and Zivkak will be switching out the rest of the season, but Burnett is probably going to get the majority of the starts. Actually, he should probably get the start today. Wiesner with the throw-in. Knocked away by Simic, but Swiderski gets there. Wiesner to Swiderski. Back to Bejger. He passes up in the space. Simic knocks it down, but it goes right back to Wiesner. To Swiderski. Back to Wiesner. Crosses it in. Pellegrini's there. Burnett gets it, and a soft shot, but just enough to get past the keeper for his second goal of the season. The commentators are saying it is, yeah. It's probably Diazic. That was an interesting formation. Okay. Kickoff highlight. Bongiovanni. Driving forward. Gives the ball away to Wiesner. Gets it back to Decker. Up to Carrillo. Over to Bejger. Up to Swiderski. Back and forth. We're playing a lot of tiki-taka in front of the goal. I don't know why. Burnett with the ball now. Driving forward. Cutting inside. Passes it up to Matty into space. Pellegrini in the box. Feeds Burnett, and he scores again. 2 goals in a couple of minutes. We're not even 5 minutes into the match. Nice assist by Pellegrini. And again, the KGHM keeper got caught. What is it? Idaziak. Burnett drops it short to Swiderski off the corner. Tries crossing it in. Denny bounces it off his chest and it goes back out. Bejger ends up with the ball to Matty. Held, top of the box, out to Swiderski. Wiesner to Matty. They're playing really far back. Whoa! How did that even go in? Held, gets it to Burnett. Magahalis. Oh, the KGHM keeper just absolutely muffed that. Holy cow. 3 shots, 3 on target, 15 minutes in the game, and we are up 3-0. Idaziak bombs it forward towards Bongiovanni. Bejger, however, heads it down to Carrillo, gets it up to Pellegrini, who gets it over to DeGraka. He charges forward, takes the shot, puts it far post. His 20th goal of the season. He's had a really good season, and I really didn't realize how good a season he was having. I couldn't figure out why all these bigger teams were interested in him. Then I went and looked at his stats and realized he's been scoring a lot. And he's had more than a few assists as well. I mean, he's undoubtedly one of the best players I've ever picked up on a free. And both he and Gubbles and he and Pellegrini have been a very good 1-2 combination. Matty up to DeGraka, over to Held. Skirts one defender, takes a shot, but it's really wide left. The defender forced him to kick it that wide. He bounced it off of him. It went out for a corner kick. Burnett shorts it to Held. Gets by the defender, curls it, but Idaziak's right there. Or Daziak. Idaziak. Isherwood up to Guga. Over to Humbert. To Bongiovanni. Dupuy. To Denny. He holds it up. Matty steps in front of the pass. Gets it to Pellegrini. Up to DeGraka. Got behind the defender. But Idaziak makes the shot. Humbert just bombs it out of bounds. With 3 goals in 9 minutes. Holy cow. Coming up on halftime, 10 shots, 7 on target for us, 2 and none for KGHM. We are well in control of this game, 4-0. Magahalis on the throw-in. Burnett knocked away, but Swiderski's going to run it down. Back to Carrillo, over to Matty. Back to Swiderski, long pass towards Held, who heads it, and it goes right to Idaziak. Swiderski. Over to Burnett on the right side. He's dispossessed by Humbert. Mraz. Carrillo got in front of him. He misplayed the ball. Swiderski ends up with it. Kicks it to Bejker. Out towards Held. Held. It looks like he was trying a long cross. Oh, Mraz. Nice first touch. Bongiovanni takes the shot. Hits the post. Wiesner bombs it forward. Goes right to Humbert and the highlight ends. Oh, that was a good chance for them. The equipment saved us yet again. Burnett sends it in. De Graaf is there. He hits it off the post. And Isherwood sends it out of bounds. Burnett, again, shorts it to Swiderski on the corner kick. Gets it back to Burnett, but Mraz comes in with a slide tackle. Kicks that out of bounds. We're going to make a couple changes here. Everybody's having a good game. I mean, everybody's 7.0 or better. But I think what we're going to do is get Steensick on for Pellegrini. We'll bring on Nguambia for Matty, get him some playing time. We're going to bring on Dustin Bloom in place of Florian Held, get him some playing time as well. Purita to Scordato, back to Purita. Baseline, he sends it in. Jemerson was there, but he headed it over the crossbar. Coming up on the end of the game, a very quick first half, which saw us score 4 goals. Are they going to get a late game? Are they going to get a late game breaker? And my wife, for some reason, is calling me. Just a second here. Dupuy to Purita. And Decker with the stop. And that is the game. Well, sorry for the kind of awkward transition there. Had to go help the wife out real quick. A solid game all around for everybody on the squad. The only people who weren't 6'9" or better were the guys I brought in as substitutes. Maga Hollis on an 8-2 with the goal and the 2 key passes. Swiderski, a good game. Lucas Burnett, an excellent game. Where does that put us in the group? Depends on what happened in the CSKA Moscow match. They beat Vitesse, so we are still second. But we qualified. Because Vitesse has lost both games, and KGHM has drawn one and lost one. Of course, we got Leipzig coming up in 3 days now, too. Definitely going to praise Burnett. I have a policy. I loan a player out. I expect him to get the playing time we agreed upon. On the 3rd time I get a notification that says the player's not being played, I'm just recalling him. The coach gets 2 chances. And frankly, he gets a 3rd because I'm a nice guy. Because I've screwed up with loan players before. I know it happens sometimes, but you're going to do that. Forget it. As a matter of fact, I don't believe he got hardly any playing time while he was there. He's going to be unavailable, so I got to unclick that. He's not registered because he was out. 2 games. It's not helping me there. What also isn't helping us is the 2-1 loss in the Pokal'D and the 2-1 loss at Wolfsburg. The one against KGHM was nice, but we got some really tough games coming up. I think what we're going to do... We've qualified out of the group, and I don't want to come back so soon for a CSKA Moscow match, especially with the opponent on the other side being Bielefeld. We just played them. I think what we're going to do is come back for... let's see what the standings are. Cologne or Union Berlin? Let's see. They're both kind of the same. Yeah, I think what we're going to do is just come back for Vitesse and Union Berlin. It's kind of a big chunk of games in between, but with... Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to come back for Vitesse and Union Berlin. Now, granted, that's 6 games between now and then, and I haven't played CSKA Moscow on a live comm, but that just doesn't break down all that well, especially with Bielefeld being the opponent on the other side. I could come back for like CSKA Moscow, skip field, and play Augsburg, but then it's another 6 games, and we're into February because I don't like playing games in the January transfer window. I don't know that I have to worry about that now, especially because we're out of the Pokal. But if we get like a Euro Cup game sometime in between, then we'll definitely play that. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to come back for the match against Vitesse and Union Berlin, and then go into the January transfer window. Taking a look ahead at that, as I'm clicking on the wrong thing here, we've got 64 million euros in the budget for transfers. We actually have a lot more because we're 500,000 euros under our payroll budget, so we could definitely eke a lot more out, and we could afford to sign one or two quality players on big salaries. I'm kind of averse to that because if you look at the roster, let me pull up my squad view here. Our highest paid player is Pietro Pellegrini at 68,000. Carrillo is not too far behind at 59, but we have yet to pay anybody over, I want to say 75. It's possible Gubbles may have been over 75. I can't remember that far back. Pellegrini's wanted by Bayer, Roma, Lazio, and Napoli. One of the things I agreed to when I signed him was that he could use the club as a stepping stone. I didn't think it would be this soon, but if any of the Italian teams come in with a really good offer for him, I will let him go to the Italian teams. If Bayer comes in for him, he's not going to the same league. That's a policy I will stand behind till my dying breath. Same thing with De Graca. He's having an awesome season for us so far. 20 overall goals, 3 assists, 2 players of the match, 7.46 rating. Brought him in on a free, for crying out loud. Any amount of money we move him for is just going to be icing on the cake. But the fact that he's wanted by some very good teams as well, if they come knocking, I'd let him go to Marseille or Torino. I wouldn't. Well, Schalke's on the downward swing. They've lost like 6 games in a row. They're 16 in the league. I might let him go to Schalke. So with Steensiek on the bench, I would be happy with him coming in and not... Pellegrini was a step down from Gubbles. Steensiek is a step down from Pellegrini, but Steensiek, with regular playing time in the future, can be as good as or better than Pellegrini. I firmly believe that, especially if some of these in the yellow start coming up. The other probably full-time starter candidate I have at striker is going to be Arjau. 3-star current ability, 3.5-star potential ability. Solid but unspectacular is my favorite phrase, and that's what he is. He's a really good pressing forward, or he's a really good complete forward. He's a good poacher and advanced forward. He'll do a job for us, but again, it would be a step down from who we have, which is why he's coming in as a reserve more often than not. So it would also depend on who is out there at the moment. Right now, at least the best player my guys have scouted is Silas Waman-Gituka over at VfB Stuttgart. He's a pretty good player. He's 26 years old. Doesn't really kind of fit the team philosophy, but he's a very good advanced forward. Physically pretty gifted. Mentally very solid. Technically good where it counts. He's valued at 35. He's wanted by Bayer and Villarreal. He's a potential option should De Graca or Pellegrini leave. The other one I've had my eye on is Ido Istak. He is up in the Swedish Premier League playing for Elfsborg. Physically really, really good. Mentally, he's got some issues. I'm not a huge fan of the positioning or the bravery, and it's one of the big reasons I haven't brought him in. He grades out really well. He's 2-star current, or he's 2.5-star current. Well, let's go back. He's 2.5-star current, 5-star potential. And he's 2-star current, 4.5-star potential. The problem is he's coming up on the end of his contract. If I want him now, I'd have to pay 250,000 euros just to kind of get on his radar. He's got 22 other teams looking at him. The bravery and the positioning, though, just... They're turnoffs. Plus, being 20 years old, I don't know how well he'd do. These are all the guys that are listed anyways. It might be worth it spending a little time checking out guys on the overseas teams. Like I was brushing through this here. One of the other things you can also do is look at their value. So, I mean, Kasper Dolberg. Patson Daka is listed. Wow, 3 years ago, I would have paid good money for him. He's turned into a really good player this save. I think this is one of those games where FM gave him a really high potential, and he's come really close to filling it out. Alex Mighton at Norwich is also another good player. He's another one of those whose potential is really, really high, and this time around he's kind of fulfilling it. We looked at Wamatuga. I would probably want to go younger. Hansen at Ajax, maybe. But then you have players like Erede Moreno at Las Palmas, who's 19 years old. He's valued at 7.75. We'll scout him. We'll see what that positioning comes back as. We can edit this search a little bit more. I'm going to say is at most 23. So Paulo Alfonso. Ooh. 21 years old. Transfer list by request. We'll add him to the short list. A deep lying forward with a minimum 10 balance. It's interesting. And Gabriel Ojeda. You know what? We will scout him too. But at the same time, it's also worth... Oh, good grief. I know I've done this before. And the episode's going a little long, but... You search... So here I'm searching for 17 and 18-year-olds from all the regions. And some of them I've already scouted. So like, as an example, Andreas Stromberg, who is a central defender, 18 years old, got a decent amount of potential. I want to say he's on my short list, but he's not on my short list. Add shortlisted. But then one of the things you can do after this is sort of by personality. So like, as an example, Dwight George is a model citizen. He's an advanced midfielder on the left. He's got potential. He's got a lot of potential. I have to scout him again. I know I scouted him at one point in time. That's why he's on my short list. His off the ball is a little bit on the low side, but I think that could be worked on. But then you're going to have players pop up like Contreras, who's a perfectionist. But you come down to like some of the fairly professional or even the professional players, or if we go back and we sort by the ones I've already looked at and graded out. As an example, you take someone like Christian Roland, who's a central defender. He's got a lot of potential. He's playing at Tromsø. He's capped at the under-19 level. He's got his contract until 2028. Make a trial offer for him. What's the worst they're going to say? No? And if they do say no, you're not losing anything. If they say yes, you're bringing him in, plan for 2 weeks. You'll find out everything you want to know about him. And then, if he's good enough to potentially play for your team in the future, make a move for him. Or you have players like this guy here, Fabrice Akani. He's grading out at a 76 as a midfielder on the left. He's got 3 youth appearances on the under-20 squad. He's 17 years old. He's currently valued at 16.25 thousand euros. We know that's off. Now, technically, he's not too bad. Mentally, he's not too bad. Physically, again, not too bad. Then again, 17 years old. Try and bring him in on trial, especially on some of these squads where it's like the Westerlo under 18s. Okay, they're... he's not getting full-time starts, although he's an African international from Cameroon. If you spend 250,000 to 500,000 euros to get him in, are you really losing out in the long run if he turns out to be that potential player? Can I add those here? I can, but they're not scouted, so I'm just going to delete these. The other thing to look at is players from big teams in other divisions. Simon Ruiz Diaz is at Boca in the Argentine Premier Division. He's 18 years old. He's a defensive left back. Boca's got a really good youth system. They've got other players probably a decent amount ahead of him. Physically, he's not bad. Mentally, he's really, really good in a lot of areas. Off the ball is a little bit weak, but again, defensive left back, again, 18 years old. He's making 2.5 thousand a week. He's valued at 650,000 euros. He's capped at the under 23 level, but he's playing for Boca. You can cheat a little bit here. You don't even have to cheat because the rosters are publicly known. If you go to them and you go to their all players and then you just sort by position, and even if you go here, Simon Ruiz Diaz, that's who we were just looking at, right? Yeah, Simon Ruiz Diaz. He is currently 6th down on the list. Make an offer for him. Bring him in on trial. I mean, in terms of value, he's they're 5th most valued. They've got Leandro Vega and a couple of other people ahead of him. Valentin Benitez. I know that name, but I'm not quite sure how I know that name, and I recognize that face. I'm wondering if I didn't see him or hear of him on another save. You know, and then even then, some of these younger players here that aren't grading out so high, sometimes your scouts are wrong. You know, you get the guy in from Sterling, bring him in for 2 weeks. Maybe he's actually better than a 55. Maybe he's not, but you're not losing anything. Guys like Lewis Pickup on amateur contracts, bring him in. Maybe they'll grade out higher, maybe they won't. Kaiserslautern wants me to bring in players from the German lower leagues. The problem is there's not a lot of good players in the German lower leagues. You know, I could bring in a guy like Florian Meyer on trial. He'll be at best maybe 1-star current. You know what? I'll take my own advice here. So we've got Florian Meyer, Benedikt Werner, Calvin Bremer. Tim Urlacher's down in the Bundesliga too, but that's not lower league really. Although he's a really good midfielder. I've checked him out before. No, I'm not going to bring him on loan. My cutoff's 50. And I'll go down to maybe like a 45. But they want me to bring in players from these lower division regional teams. And it's just... They're almost always snapped up by the bigger and better teams. Any good player who ends up on a German regional team or like a Bundesliga 3 team almost immediately gets picked up by one of the bigger squads. It's just annoying as hell. And plus they'll come in and they will also... they'll poach. Yeah, he's got 5-star potential. They'll poach your youth prospect as well. I lost 2 last season, I want to say. But anywho, this is going to go on really, really long, and I'm sorry about that. But it's just kind of an insight into how I look at things. Actually, this particular save, I've gone a lot more in-depth in scouting than I have in other past saves. And it shows. I mean, my roster's stacked. You know, if only the coach was good enough to use them well enough. So, getting kicked out of the Pokal, in a couple words, that absolutely bites. The Bloom goal was just salt in the wound. It didn't count for anything. We should have beaten them. We're a better squad than them. I think 1-for-1 we're a better squad than them. We've just played so many games so fast. I mean, the 17th, the 22nd, the 25th, the 28th, and the 31st. And it's catching up to us. We've got a deep roster in terms of players. It's you know, they're not exactly 1-for-1 swaps. I could go for like a 1 to a 0.75 swaps, but a lot of these are like 1 to 0.5s for now. In the future, that'll get better. The loss to Wolfsburg just, you know, but we got ourselves right against KGHM. You can't deny that. I mean, 4 goals in the first half. Bernat, a brace of goals in 2 minutes. Maga Haas, a very nice goal. De Graco goal, and we just kind of sat back. It was a solid all-around performance by the team. And hopefully we can carry that going forward. We're going to need it because we've got kind of a tough round of matches coming up. Leipzig's near the top of the league. Darmstadt's a solid squad. CSKA Moscow currently sits at the top of the group. We'll get our revenge on Bielefeld, and we've got the others. We'll be back for our last game in the Euro Cup group stages, and we'll find out who we're playing after that. Then it's Union Berlin, and then into the January transfer window, where I suspect we will be a lot busier than I plan on us being. If you did like what you've seen or heard, please have a like, subscribe to the channel for more content. Questions, criticisms, comments, leave those down below. I will answer those as fast as I can. My name's FM Jellicoe. I thank you for watching.